For privacy reasons, names and places have been changed. This story is inspired by true events.
In the summer of 2008, 28-year-old Priya Desai and her 30-year-old husband Max Ellison embarked on their honeymoon in the stunning Cyclades, Greece. They never returned. Despite an extensive search of the vast Aegean Sea, Priya and Max vanished without a trace after their rented skiff was found adrift near an uninhabited islet off Amorgos. Their daypack and sandals remained on board, untouched, hinting at a sudden, inexplicable vanishing, leaving behind only perplexing questions. For 17 agonizing years, their families lived with unbearable uncertainty, clinging to fragmented hopes for closure that never materialized. Then, a recent unexpected discovery on a remote volcanic island shattered the long silence. This is the complete investigation into the mystery of what truly happened to Priya and Max, and why their dream honeymoon ended in an inexplicable disappearance. Before we continue, let us know where you're watching from, and if you enjoy this content, consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Now let's continue. In the summer of 2008, the Cycladic islands of Greece, a labyrinth of sun-drenched rock and sapphire sea, offered an idyllic backdrop for the honeymoon of Priya Desai, 28, and Max Ellison, 30. Hailing from their home country, the vibrant Newlyweds had envisioned a journey filled with exploration and tranquility, choosing the serene waters surrounding Amorgos and its scattering of uninhabited islets for their romantic escape. Their dream, however, would soon dissolve into an enduring mystery that baffled authorities for nearly 2 decades. Their last known movements painted a picture of a typical tourist excursion. On a bright morning, the couple rented a small skiff, intending to spend the day navigating the pristine coves and isolated beaches that dotted the Aegean coastline. Such day trips were commonplace, a quintessential experience for visitors seeking solitude amidst the archipelago's beauty. They set out with a day pack containing their essentials and the casual footwear suitable for a leisurely day on the water. Several hours, then days, passed without their return. The alarm was first raised when the rented skiff was discovered adrift, far from its rental point, near one of the remote uninhabited islets. The scene was unsettlingly calm. The boat was empty, yet their personal effects remained undisturbed on board. A neatly packed day pack and a pair of sandals, resting precisely where they might have been left. There were no signs of struggle, no distress signals, merely an inexplicable absence. Harbour Master Yanis Lycos, a veteran of the local maritime authority, was among the first officials to respond to the report. The sight of the empty vessel, holding the intimate remnants of a holiday abruptly curtailed, immediately triggered an urgent search operation. The vastness of the Aegean Sea, however, presented an immediate and formidable challenge. The profound mystery of Priya and Max's disappearance had begun. They had vanished without a trace, leaving only questions in their wake. The discovery of the abandoned skiff immediately activated a comprehensive search and rescue operation. Local authorities, spearheaded by Harbour Master Yanis Lycos, mobilized the Coast Guard, local fishermen, and volunteer groups. The search area stretched across the vast expanse of the Aegean Sea, surrounding the uninhabited islet near Amorgos, where the skiff had been found. Patrol boats crisscrossed the waters, helicopters scanned from above, and divers explored the shallow coastal areas. The sheer scale of the Cyclades, with its countless coves, hidden grottos, and the powerful, unpredictable currents of the Aegean, presented an immense and immediate obstacle to any concentrated effort. Each passing hour widened the potential drift radius, making the task increasingly daunting. Investigators meticulously examined the rented skiff itself. Every inch of the small vessel was scrutinized for clues. Forensic teams found no evidence of a struggle, no blood, no signs of forced entry or damage that would suggest foul play. The day pack and sandals, the last tangible connection to Priya and Max, yielded no further insights. They were simply personal items, offering no narrative of what had transpired. This absence of evidence was as perplexing as the disappearance itself, deepening the mystery rather than clarifying it. Initial theories emerged, each equally plausible yet unprovable. A tragic swimming accident was considered, perhaps an unexpected cramp or a sudden rip current. Falling overboard while attempting to moor or retrieve an item could also explain their sudden absence. The strong, often unseen currents of the Aegean were a constant concern, capable of sweeping a person far from their original location in a matter of minutes. Yet without bodies or any further trace, these remained speculative hypotheses, leaving investigators with no concrete leads to pursue. The lack of any distress signal, unusual for a modern rented vessel, or any witness accounts from the remote islet, compounded the frustration. As days bled into weeks, the initial urgency of the search began to wane, giving way to a gnawing despair. The uninhabited nature of the islet, once a symbol of the couple's desired solitude, now stood as a silent, unyielding witness to their unexplained vanishing, offering no answers, no help, no closure. As weeks stretched into months, the grim reality of the Aegean's vastness and indifference began to settle upon the search efforts. The difficult decision to scale back the extensive operations became inevitable. Despite the tireless work of Harbour Master Yanis Lycos and his teams, without any new leads or tangible evidence, resources were finite, and the active search for Priya Desai and Max Ellison could not continue indefinitely. The official search was eventually wound down, leaving behind a profound sense of failure and an agonizing void. The central enigma of their disappearance persisted, becoming a chilling local legend whispered among fishermen and islanders. How could two vibrant individuals vanish so completely in seemingly calm waters, leaving their belongings behind yet no trace of themselves? The case file, once active with daily reports and urgent pleas, grew thicker with unanswered questions before finally being relegated to the cold case archives, a stark reminder of an unresolved tragedy. Years began to accumulate, each one deepening the mystery and diminishing the hope for answers. 1 year turned into 5, then 10, then 17. For the families of Priya and Max, this passage of time was an unbearable ordeal, a relentless march of uncertainty that offered no solace, only a persistent, gnawing pain. The initial shock gave way to a quiet despair, the hope for closure fading with each passing season. The idyllic Cyclades, once a symbol of their love, became a landscape haunted by their absence. The remote, uninhabited islet near Amorgos, where the skiff had been found adrift, remained a silent, unchanged testament to the enduring mystery, its shores washing over secrets it seemed determined to keep forever. 17 years had passed since Priya Desai and Max Ellison vanished into the Aegean, a period that had seen the world around the Cyclades evolve, yet the unresolved riddle of the Newlyweds remained a static, painful memory. It was now 2025. The remote, uninhabited islets near Amorgos, those same stark, beautiful outcroppings of volcanic rock that had silently witnessed the initial mystery, continued their ancient vigil, largely untouched by human presence. Their craggy coastlines, sculpted by millennia of wind and waves, still offered a deceptive tranquility, a stark contrast to the turbulent questions they held within their depths. It was amidst this enduring solitude that Elpida Vretu, an experienced local diver known for her meticulous exploration of the Aegean's less frequented underwater landscapes, made a discovery that would shatter the long-held silence. Elpida was meticulously surveying a stretch of coastline on one such remote islet, a place where the volcanic tufa rock formations plunged sharply into the clear blue, creating a labyrinth of crevices and overhangs. Her trained eye, accustomed to spotting anomalies in the marine environment, caught sight of something unusual. Wedged deep within a narrow fissure in the ancient tufa, burnished by 17 years of relentless surf and current, was a glint of metal. Carefully, Elpida extracted the object. It was a wedding ring, undeniably distinctive. Its surface, though worn smooth by the sea's ceaseless caress, still bore faint, intricate markings. A prickle of intuition, a sense of something profoundly out of place in such a desolate location, prompted her to report the find to the authorities. The ring was delivered to Harbour Master Lycos's successor, who, upon examining the unique inscription and design, cross-referenced it with the long-dormant police report from 2008. The match was undeniable. It belonged to Priya Desai. The revelation sent a wave of shock through the local community and beyond, instantly reviving the cold case that had haunted the islands for so long. A tangible piece of the puzzle had finally emerged from the depths, a single metallic loop after 17 years of agonizing uncertainty. For the families of Priya and Max, the news brought a complex surge of emotions. A glimmer of hope that answers might finally be within reach, yet also the painful resurgence of old wounds, reopened by this shocking, unexpected discovery. The sea had finally begun to give up its secrets. With the undeniable identification of Priya Desai's wedding ring, the long-dormant investigation into the disappearance of the Newlyweds was officially reopened. The discovery, after 17 years of silence, represented the first tangible lead, breathing new life into a case that had all but faded into history. The ring itself became the focal point of intense scrutiny, far beyond its initial role in confirming the victims' identities. Forensic scientists meticulously examined its surface, searching for any microscopic traces of sediment, marine organisms, or wear patterns that might offer further clues about its journey through the Aegean. The most pressing question that emerged was spatial. How did the ring, presumably lost in the vicinity of the abandoned skiff near one uninhabited islet, end up wedged in volcanic tufa on a different remote coastline? This complex query demanded a specialized approach, leading investigators to enlist the expertise of Dr. Malachi Stern, a renowned currents analyst. Dr. Stern's task was monumental: to reconstruct the marine dynamics of the Cyclades over the past 17 years. He began by modeling historical ocean currents, wave patterns and tidal flows, aiming to chart all possible drift paths for a small, dense object like a wedding ring. His work was crucial in narrowing down the vast search area and understanding the forces that could have transported the ring so far from the skiff's initial discovery point. Central to Dr. Stern's analysis, and indeed to the entire renewed investigation, was the concept of a submersion window. Investigators theorized that if the ring had been underwater for the entirety of the 17 years, microscopic coral growth or other marine biofouling on its surface could provide a precise biological timestamp. This analysis would not only confirm the ring's long submersion, but also help to corroborate its connection to the 2008 disappearance. The scientific community was now tasked with bridging a nearly two-decade gap, relying on the most advanced forensic oceanography and marine biology to piece together a narrative from a single, resilient artifact. The stage was set for a scientific breakthrough that promised to finally unravel the Aegean's enduring riddle. The wedding ring, now a crucial piece of forensic evidence, underwent an unprecedented level of scientific scrutiny. Specialized marine biologists and forensic scientists working in concert focused their efforts on the microscopic coral growth and other biofouling meticulously preserved on its surface. This delicate biological tapestry, invisible to the naked eye, proved to be an invaluable witness. Through advanced dating techniques and species identification, the scientists determined that the specific types of coral and marine organisms present could only have developed over a period consistent with the ring's submersion since approximately 2008. This analysis acted as a precise biological clock, definitively confirming that the ring had been lost and submerged around the time of Priya and Max's disappearance, unequivocally linking it to the original tragedy. The 17-year gap had finally been bridged by the silent testimony of the sea itself. With this new, definitive data from the ring's submersion window and Dr. Malachi Stern's refined current models, the investigative focus narrowed dramatically, shifting back to the immediate vicinity of the ring's discovery. Diver Elpida Vretu, whose initial find had reopened the case, became an integral part of the renewed underwater search. Her intimate knowledge of the local seabed and her meticulous approach were now indispensable. Elpida commenced systematic grid-patterned searches around the volcanic tufa where the ring had been found, meticulously documenting every anomaly. It was during one of these painstaking dives that Elpida made her second critical observation. On the rocky seabed, partially obscured by sand and algae, she identified distinct deep abrasions in the rock, undeniable anchor scars. These were not the superficial scrapes of a casual mooring, but indicated a vessel that had anchored repeatedly or forcefully, perhaps dragging or struggling against a strong current. The scars led directly towards a previously overlooked feature, a submerged shelf, its edge dropping sharply into deeper water. This shelf, concealed by its depth and proximity to the rugged coastline, had lain just outside the perimeter of the original broader search radius conducted nearly 2 decades prior, deemed too deep or insignificant at the time. The anchor scars, combined with the precise timing of the ring's submersion and its location, began to weave a coherent and chilling narrative. It suggested that the rented skiff, rather than simply drifting away from a swimming couple, had likely encountered unforeseen difficulties at this very spot. The presence of the deep anchor marks pointed to a struggle, perhaps to hold position against currents or prevent grounding on the shelf. In the chaos, the ring, perhaps slipped from a hand during an effort to secure the boat or retrieve a dropped item, had become dislodged and wedged securely within the ancient tufa, waiting 17 years for Elpida to find it. The Aegean, in its own time, had finally revealed the true site of the tragedy. The confluence of evidence, the precise timing derived from the microscopic coral growth on Pria's ring, Dr. Stern's refined current models, and crucially Elpida Vretu's discovery of the anchor scars leading to the submerged shelf, allowed investigators to reconstruct the most probable and tragic scenario. It was no longer a mystery of disappearance, but a clarity of accidental death. The rented skiff, it was now understood, had likely sought shelter or moored near the uninhabited islet, close to the overlooked submerged shelf. The deep anchor scars indicated a struggle to maintain position, perhaps against an unexpected squall, a sudden shift in currents, or even a fouled anchor. In the ensuing chaos, the skiff, caught by the powerful Aegean, was likely dragged over the shelf's sharp edge, capsizing suddenly and violently. It was during this desperate struggle that Pria's ring, a symbol of their new life, was torn from her hand, settling into the volcanic tufa, a silent witness to their final moments. Further dive operations on the submerged shelf, guided by Elpida's detailed mapping, eventually located fragmented remains of the skiff, corroded and encrusted after 17 years, but unequivocally identified. While the sea had claimed the bodies of Pria Desai and Max Ellison, it had, in time, yielded the truth of their fate. The unveiling of this truth, though devastating, brought a profound, if somber, form of closure to their families. The agonizing uncertainty, the torment of not knowing, was finally replaced by a concrete understanding of what had transpired. It was not a happy ending, but it was an end to the unbearable limbo that had defined nearly 2 decades of their lives. The case of Pria and Max Ellison irrevocably altered the landscape of marine investigation. It underscored the critical importance of leveraging cutting-edge scientific analysis, from the biological dating of microscopic coral growth to sophisticated oceanographic current modeling. It highlighted the necessity of meticulous underwater mapping, even in seemingly benign areas, proving that crucial evidence could lie hidden in plain sight, just beyond the initial search parameters. The Aegean, in its vast, indifferent power, had both concealed and ultimately revealed its secrets. The story of the Newlyweds served as a poignant, enduring reminder of life's fragility against the forces of nature and the relentless human pursuit of truth, no matter how long the wait.